So, welcome to this second lesson of a three-part series in which I am discussing the topic of how to effectively reduce belly fat. Well, yesterday we covered a lot of ground and we talked about how we got where we are, right? And that was a very important introduction, right? We sort of talked about the notion of the snowball effect and discovered that stress is really at the root of the cause. Stress levels and the exposure to the cortisol it sort of alters the sleeping cycles, decreases the energy, and eventually impacts negatively your motivation and your adherence to any routine or fitness program. So we also established that the other reasons that contribute to the problem is having difficulties choosing the right foods because we're overwhelmed with so much variety, and because we are surrounded by hyper palatable foods all over and around us. And lastly, we discussed the fact that we are sort of drowning in a world full of misinformation. And when we think we're eating healthy, in reality, we're not providing our bodies what they need to naturally shed the excess weight that we accumulate. And so we rely on sources of information that we think they are reliable, but they lack any scientific basis or support. Hey Tunde, how are you, man? Good to see you. And lastly, we discussed the fact that we are, the misinformation factor that we talked about. So today's session is very important because we're going to try to identify things that you might have tried in the past, but that they did not work then and they do not work now and and it's most likely they're not going to work in the future. So today we want to get rid of those of that noise, and clear out the way to understand what does work. So the sooner we can get it started in the right path, the better off we'll be. So we need to stop doing these things and to get closer to our goal of reducing belly fat. So are you ready, guys, to dive in? If you are, just type on the chat, ready to go. And we're gonna just dive in with the things we need to stop doing, okay? So I'm gonna go right away with the first thing that we need to stop doing. And the thing that you need to stop doing is stop doing cardio and abs as the main source of training to shed or to reduce belly fat, okay? So I'm not saying that cardio and abs do not have a place in a weight loss program, because they do have a place, but they do not have the primary place, okay? Because when it comes to exercise and lose weight, the first thing that people think about is to do a bunch of cardio and to do thousands of abs by themselves. They're not going to lead you anywhere. And I want to sort of break that down for you. I'm sure that you know this, but exercise in general is a form of a stress. Yesterday we were talking that sustained exposure to stress raises cortisol, and that by itself impedes the fat distribution, and then it accumulates. So exercise by itself is a form of a stress, right? But what happens with that is that humans, we are created to a sort of short bout of intensity of exercise, and our bodies are designed to sustain that level of energy and then go to a relaxed state. That's really fine for us. But when we sustain those levels of stress for a longer period of time, then we're really putting the body into a difficult situation, right? When we're doing cardio, for example, we're putting the body through an excessive period of stress. Our bodies preferred source of energy are the carbohydrates, right? So when we do long bouts of cardio, we exhaust the glycogen stores in our muscles, and very quickly, and the body has to find different alternative source of energy, right? And where do they go? They go to the fat. And you might think, well, that's a good thing. You know, I've heard that actually is good that the body is reaching out for the fat. But I want to remind you that that is actually counterproductive, because even though now your body is reaching out to the fat for energy, it's also true that you are sustaining stress longer than you need to. Therefore, cortisol levels are going to go up. Fat distribution become almost impossible. So I want you to imagine that you're the host of a party, right? And after 10 minutes, all the appetizers are gone. And in anticipation, you start cooking, something for your guest. And since they're ravenous, they eat that in the blink of an eye. Now, you're getting nervous because you do not have any more food to entertain your guest. Our body feels the same way. It sees how your energy stores become depleted quickly, and it does not have any more fuel to add, until eventually it turns into what is more precious for the body, and that is the muscles. The third source of energy that our body seeks are the muscle themselves. So now the person goes in the scale and see a lower number, and they get all excited without knowing that, number one, most likely what they've lost is sweat. Number two, what they've lost possibly is muscle mass. And that really, losing muscle is the worst thing that can happen. It's very counterproductive thing when what you're trying to do is to lose weight. So I want to illustrate this and share a brief story. A couple of years ago, I was going to the gym, and I usually go in the morning, and I would see a lady there riding the elliptical. Who here likes the elliptical? If you do like the elliptical, just drop something in the comment, right? So she was just riding that elliptical, going full force, and she was killing it, right? So I was, honestly, I was impressed to see that somebody with so much energy at 5 a.m. and about 45 minutes, I was done with my workout, and that lady was still there pounding sweat. One of these days I had the opportunity to chat with her when we were refilling our bottles, and I complimented her, and for her efforts and the discipline and, the consistency of being there day in and day out. She thanked me, but quickly she responded me with some discontent. Because she had been trying to lose some weight, but she said that she couldn't, she was stuck, she wasn't seeing any changes. So I asked her, so how much weight do you want to lose? And she told me that she wanted to lose 20 pounds because on May it was going to be her son's wedding, and she wanted to be ready for that event. So at that time I didn't know what I know now, so I did not advise her. I didn't tell her anything. I simply encouraged her to politely, keep going, to move on, and so on and so forth. But it makes me think that, that there are people like her that are frustrated because they're trying to give their best and they're not seeing any result from the effort, from doing a lot of cardio. The same is true with the abs. Doing thousands of crunches is not going to solve your problem, nor is it going to reduce your belly fat. It is going to strengthen the core muscles, yes, and that's good, but it does not tackle the problem of excess body fat. Do not get me wrong, again, there is a place for cardio and there is a place for abs in a weight loss or a fat loss program, but they're not the protagonist. If we sort of imagine that we created a podium, like in the Olympics of the winners and all that, I can tell you that the first and the second position would not be for cardio and abs. They might get the third and fourth place, but they would not be the first or the second. All our efforts, and I'm going to point to where we should go, all our efforts should be focused on, number one, activating our metabolism, and number two, preserving or if possible, increasing muscle size and capacity. That's where our training needs to be focused. I'm going to say that again. Our training needs to be focused on increasing or activating our metabolism and preserving, and if possible, increasing muscle size. Cardio and abs are complementary of these training regimes, but they're not the first source of exercise that we need to have, right? And the reason why is because muscle require tons of energy, and they force our metabolism to work harder, burning more calories throughout the day. And the opposite is also true. As we lose muscle, our metabolism slows down, and then it's when our weight loss effort go to waste. It's game over there. Okay, so the first I want to insist, we need to stop putting cardio and abs on the top priority when trying to lose weight or losing fat. Number 2, we need to stop following trendy diets. Again, we need to stop following trendy diets. When it comes to lose weight or shed fat, people look for really uncommon solutions. Diet that promise rapid fat loss, incredible results, and unbelievable weight reduction. And the only catch is that you have to do some pretty extreme stuff, such as eating an incredible amount of protein, like the Atkins diets, eating an even higher amount of unhealthy fats, like the keto diet, going days without eating, like some detox diets. And I'm not saying that they might not work. I'm sure that there are people who try one of these diets and they work for them, but they simply the word diet is the wrong approach. The word diet by itself has a psychological negative implication. It is something unnatural and unsustainable. Stay clear from any restrictive diet that exclude food groups, like almost eliminating carbs, suspending eating for long periods of time, or increasing dangerously the levels of protein or fat. Just stay clear from all that. Run away from diets that promise losing 30 to 50 pounds in a month. Instead, think of a nutrition plan. That's a different approach. Think of putting in order the way you eat currently. Think of having 4 to 5 meals spread out throughout the day, and each one with its protein, its carbs, and healthy fats. Think of nurturing your body and not starving your body. Your body needs to generate a caloric deficit, yes, on a regular basis to lose weight. It is a simple question of thermodynamics. The calories that you consume have to be fewer than the calories that you burn throughout the day. It's that simple. If you end up with a calorie deficit, let's say of 500 calories, at the end of the day, if you repeat that throughout the week, then you lose 1 pound. If you end up with a calorie deficit of 1,000 calories, then you repeat that throughout the week, and then you lose 2 pounds. And that is completely normal and a healthy approach to losing weight. So I hope that I made clear my point. Stay clear of any trendy, uncommon diet. Just the word diet by itself. All right, number 3, we need to stop improvising. We need to stop winging it, okay? And this is probably one of the main reasons why I wasn't getting the results before. I would go to the grocery shop, without a list, and I started improvising here and there. I would start grabbing stuff on the go, whatever looked appealing right then and there. And I will always ended up overspending, to be honest, eating more than my body needed and having a bunch of food that it would go just to waste. So that's just not a good idea. You need to have a plan. You need to have your grocery list before going to a supermarket. And I really don't start my week without having a meal plan. And with the meal plan, I create the grocery shopping list. And then with these two things, I'm saving a ton of money and just eat whatever I need, And to be honest with you, I don't even set foot on the supermarket. I order directly online, and I just drive in, open my trunk, they put my groceries, and then I leave, right? Because supermarket is probably the worst trap you can get into. It's intentionally designed to attract the attention of people, to lead them to the most unhealthy food. So the more you can avoid actually being there in the supermarket, the better off you're going to be. All right, so that was number 3, stop improvising. Number 4 is going to be this one. Stop conforming to the world, or stop adjusting to the world, okay? And I will explain myself. Our society revolves around food and eating abundantly. Seeing a friend mean going out and grab something to eat. Having a relative or having a friend over means cooking something and chatting over a meal. Celebrating any special occasion involves some type of feast or banquet, and it is usually not the type of healthy food that we're talking about here. So we really need to dissociate social events with eating. It's that simple, because that combination will lead us to eat just because we are surrounded by people or we are in a certain situation, not when we need it. And so we also tend to adjust to whatever situation we're in. If somebody bought donuts to the meeting, well, I guess I'm gonna have to have a donut. If it is somebody's birthday and then they brought a cake, well, I guess I'm gonna have some cake. If you meet with your friend and they're eating and you have just eaten an hour ago, well, I guess I'm gonna serve myself as well, you know? So we really need to be a thermostat, right? And so the difference between a thermometer and a thermostat is that the thermometer adjusts to the environment, but the thermostat makes the environment change to match its temperature. In the same way, you need to start becoming a thermostat. You need to set your priorities and not adjust according to the environment. And eventually, you're going to see changes on the people around you. You'll see that they start changing and following your example, right? And they might think that you're weird, but it is actually not weird at all to have a goal and to stick to your goal. For example, in my eating plan for lunch, I want to have a clean source of protein, I want to have carbs, and I want to have healthy fats and lots of vegetables. That's the bell in my school. Sorry, guys. So, you know, in my school, I love the catering service, but I'm going to be honest with you. You would be surprised to find out that they do not always have a clean source of protein. There are some days that they have meatballs, and that's not a clean source of protein. Or they would have pizza, and there's no protein at all in there. Or they might have little bits of chicken with lots of pasta and heavy creamy sauce, and that's not the greatest sourse of protein. And I have learned the lesson, and I just bring home from home my own tilapia, or maybe I do some tofu, and I bring the protein with me, right? Then I go to the serving line and I add some veggies. I look from some sort of carb source, and then I ended up filling up with salads and greens and all that. But sometimes my colleagues look at me weird. So you see, I might seem that what I'm doing goes against the normal, but to me, I'm actually doing what's right for me. I'm not adjusting to the catering service of my school that I love, and I think it's a fantastic service. I'm sort of benefiting from what they have, but I am sort of following my goals and I'm sticking to my meal plan, okay? So I encourage you, it is going to feel unnatural, but you just have to stick to a natural, normal eating plan that you're going to ignore and bypass situations that force you to change your plan and adjust to theirs. It is that simple. Do not adjust to the world, let the world adjust to you. And what are your goals and what it is that you want to do with your health and with your body, okay? So that's it. So I'm gonna pause here for a second. I've dropped a lot of bombs right now. So I want you to share with me if you have struggled with some of these. Let's sort of quickly recap what we've seen. We've talked about stop doing cardio and abs. We've talked about not following trendy diets. We talked about stop improvising, and we talked so far about stop conforming to the world. Is this news to you? Is any of what I said so far sort of shocking? Is that something that you have struggled with in the past? I'm going to sort of read here. Hola, Francisco. Hola, Cristina. Thank you. Thank you. Ty is commenting on the thermostat. Awesome. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. All right, so I'm going to keep moving because I still have one thing that we need to keep doing. Actually, two more things, right? But I wanted to pause there to let you think over that. The next one is stop drinking calories. And drinking in excess calories is probably one of the primary killers of people's progress in an attempt to lose weight or fat. And I am talking about sugary sodas, I'm talking about Starbucks, I'm talking about juices, I'm talking about sport drinks if you're not doing an hour or more of cardio, and especially, I'm sorry guys, I have to say this, especially alcohol. Okay, I know I'm not going to be the most popular person in the room, but it is the truth. All these drinks are not adding any nutritional value to our bodies, because there is nothing else than sugar. Your body is going to quickly absorb that, and it will most likely end stored as fat. So instead of fruit juices, replace them for protein shakes with frozen foods, and these are much more balanced, and it's really a complete meal. With around 200 to 300 calories, you're getting all the nutrients that you need with those protein shakes. Replace sodas for 0-calorie versions. I have nothing against that, I would just advise you to limit them as well at one a day, but there's nothing wrong with that. As far as alcohol, I would limit beer and wine to 2 to 3 per week. And the reason is because methanol is a toxin that has no nutritional value whatsoever. But the worst part of alcohol is that it brings a sort of an inhibiting sense or feeling that is going to lead us to overeat, right? We're going to start eating here and there snacks after 2 or 3 beers, and that's really when we get in trouble. Because, for example, think about this. If you grab a handful just of nuts and seeds and all that, it might very well be in between 400 to 500 calories if you grab a big handful of that. And if you add 2 or 3 beers, we're talking almost about 1,000 calories just in the appetizers. So really you can spoil a hard-earned week of exercising and diet just in a matter of 30 minutes. So I just want to let you know that potentially that could be spoiling your results or your progress. And the last one is going to be stop cheat days. Yes, I said it. Stop cheat days. I really don't even like the sound of it. I don't like to say cheat day because when you say cheat, it means that you're doing something wrong, right? It implies that you are, an imposter, that you've been the good guy, and then all of a sudden you go out the rail, and that's not the right approach. Plus, a full cheat day is not beneficial either. And I'll tell you that cheat day turns into a cheat weekend or a 3-day cheat just vacation. So there you go. All your efforts are gone that week because of that innocent cheat day. Instead, you need to be thinking of 2 or 3 free meals. 2 or 3 free meals. When I say free, I mean that you don't have to follow the parameters of your meal plan, right? They don't necessarily have to have a balanced protein, carbs, and healthy fat. So if it is pizza that you enjoy, then go ahead and eat it with moderation. If it is a burger, that's fine. Whatever it is that you enjoy, put it on your weekly budget and truly enjoy it, right? But it will have to be 2 or 3 of these free meals per week, not a whole day of cheat eating. Okay, so there we go. Those are the things that I think we need to leave behind if we want to make real progress. I think we've covered a lot of ground today, and we have established that we are, there are some things that are keeping us from making real progress. Tomorrow, we're finally going to be talking about the things that work when it comes to reduce belly fat. I think that we're ready now to look for solutions. Make sure that you stay tuned in, and you're going to learn the secrets and the strategies of how to effectively reduce belly fat. I hope that you found this session valuable and that you got something out of it. If you did, please drop a comment in the comments and just say value or what it is that you learned today. What is your takeaway of what we just discussed today? Once again, I really appreciate your company, guys. I really appreciate your support, everybody that showed up here in the live. If you're watching the replay, just type replay and let me know that you watch it. I'm here to serve you, to support you, and I really look forward to see you tomorrow for the final episode of this series. You guys have an awesome day, okay? Take care. Bye-bye now.